Hey everybody, hopefully you're having a good day so far. Thank you for tuning into my podcast, Duffy and hearing about advocacy and empowerment for teachers. Have you ever felt discouraged or wanted to better support your student in getting the services they need to be successful? Sometimes advocating for your students can be a lot of hard work, but know that in the future your students will thank you tremendously for helping them out, like how I thank everyone that comes into my life and does what they're able to do to help each other be successful. Just keep an eye out for someone who's struggling and find ways to help support them, and you can even become their best friend. Hey teachers, welcome back to Duffy in Hearing World, Advocacy and Empowerment for Teachers. Today, I thought about that we should talk about the topic of mainstream versus deaf school. And for me personally, I feel like it has been really talked about much, but it has started been talking about a little bit more often. As some of you guys may know from listening to a few episodes ago that I was in a mainstream school for much of my education. I didn't go to a deaf institute at all. So in this case, I went to ISD for summer camp. So I never went to an actual school there. And so I thought that I should take you guys on a little adventure of how my education was a little bit and how my parents thought that it would be best for me to go to the mainstream rather than going to a deaf school. So I remember back in third grade, I took a trip to Cedar Rapids School District. It's a school district not too far from my hometown area, and so my parents thought it'd be a good idea for me to kind of explore the different schooling options and see what they could do to help me out and be more successful. And so they took me to Cedar Rapids. I don't remember the name of the school building it was, but I remember that's how I met my communication coach. After she found out that, oh hey, I need someone to be there for me, be able to take notes and just kind of help me to be more successful in mainstream school. And so my parents and we went to this Rapid School District, and from there we saw that they taught a small group of students from various grades. However, that I wouldn't be challenged as much in a way. And so I remember some teachers had different papers for different students of various grades, and they did their own thing, but in the end it just really, I don't know if it was any helpful at all. And so my parents also thought about the time that for traveling purposes. So if I went to Cedar Rapids at that school building, I would have to be in the bus at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and I might not even get home until 5 or 6 o'clock at night, maybe even 8 o'clock at the very latest. And so my parents thought really hard about this for a very long time, because my school district, in Shasbury Community School District, good school. I loved it. The bus travel wasn't too bad at all. I in fact loved my bus driver. They were a very good bus driver. They were very understanding of my sisters and I's situation, and just kind of not to judge others on what they're going through, and just to be respectful and understanding of everybody, and just trying to be inclusive. But I remember every single day that I rode the bus, I would always thank the bus driver. The bus driver's name is Pam. I don't exactly remember the last name because they might have changed it. But yeah, she was a really good bus driver. I appreciated her a lot. And so I would just kind of flash a smile or just kind of show some sort of kindness and gratitude to her, because I know that she did a lot for a lot of students. And it was just my way of giving back to her. And so she was a really good bus driver. My family, they had me and my sister out of the bus by 6:50. We had to leave Garrison by 7 o'clock every morning, and the school wouldn't start until 8 o'clock. But we were very much a country road person, and so we often traveled out to the country a lot. So I kind of knew a lot of the back roads. And I remember one day we took every single time we would come back every on our bus ride home, we would go up and down this hill, and the bus driver would just tell everyone put their arms up and so forth. It was just kind of a way just kind of alleviating stress that was going on in our lives. And so anywho, the bus route, it wasn't really that bad at all. I mean, I would be home at 15 minutes after. So the bus route was usually about like 15, 20 minutes. It wasn't really that bad of a drive. And so I think that's what kind of my parents thought about the consideration of like, I would be traveling for a very long time and I might get very bored. And so I thought it was just best for me to like stay back in Benton and try to get some support from others. And then, so in third grade, that's when that happened. And then in fourth grade, there was, I think they kind of called her like a communication coach because she was kind of like a teacher and associate at Cedar Rapids. And then she moved to Vinton to help me out. She did a lot for me, and I'm like very thankful for her that she was in my life for a lot of aspects. And just helping me to be an advocate, and just kind of like, she was one of the people that inspired me to become an educator because of how much she truly loved the students and like just working together as a team and just like trying to like making sure that like I like stayed all caught up with schoolwork and everything, but also like let me know that like that I don't need to stress about my schoolwork so much because a lot of people know me from high school as being like the very like studious student as I try to get like a GPA of like 3.5 or above because I was an overachiever and I still am an overachiever to this day. And so I just thank her a lot for everything that she's done for me and what I hope to inspire my students to do in the future is to like learn to like advocate for themselves because sometimes what services that you need might also help other students too. So for example, closed captions on like all multimedia devices. A lot of students sometimes, I don't know if they have like auto processing disorders or something like that. Not entirely sure about that, but what I do know is that having closed captions has helped me out a lot for the better because when I was first exposed to having closed captions or like subtitles, I'm like, oh my goodness, I did not even know this existed. Like this helps me out so much. And I was like, I loved watching TV as I was growing up, but like a lot of the conversations or words were like very like, it was mumbled so much to me that I couldn't even like understand a single word anybody was saying. That I was just hearing like dialogue, like I was just hearing voices and sounds, but I couldn't understand speech as well as I would have liked. And so having closed captions just like cleared up a lot of confusion for me. And I remember in high school, specific class, like I love this class. It was like an English literature class. It was like introducing us about like mid-century, like medieval times, like F. Scott Fitzgerald. Was it Francis Scott? I can't remember all the authors. But anywho, I really enjoyed that class and she had shown a movie about it was something of like our like books or something like that, and closed captioning, she said that like it really helped a lot of students because like if you're listening to like a foreign language that you don't even understand. So for me, I took Spanish my first 2 years of high school. And then I was approved to take ASL because I'm very passionate about ASL and I want to teach ASL someday, but I don't know if I'm qualified or certified to teach ASL because I took myself up all the time. And so I remember just having like subtitles and like I understood a lot of it. And then like in Spanish, I couldn't really understand much of the speech in Spanish. And so sometimes when they would have like subtitles, because I was a very huge vocabulary reader, I studied a lot on vocabulary, and I would be able to translate from Spanish to English and be able to understand what they were saying. But still, at the same time, my listening was not that good at all. Because that was like two or 3 years before I got my cochlear implant surgery. And that I will have to do another discussion about that soon. Anywho, so yes, I had a communication coach in fourth grade until my junior year of high school. And then I had those associates from my junior and my senior year of high school helped me out to fill in the gap that I was missing and helped me be successful. And I think there was an ad called the No Child Left Behind. I'm not sure if they still use it in the schools, but I feel like it was really helpful to like know that like I think a lot of teachers didn't want their students to feel excluded, didn't really feel like I was excluded much, but I was still like severely bullied a lot by my hearing loss. And having teachers like understand that like it's okay to be yourself, like it's okay to be different from other people, because what's important is you. Just be unique, just be your unique self, just make it like a difference in whatever way you're able to. And because I was mainstreamed in school, I didn't go to like a deaf institute or anything like that. However, I did go to ISD camps when I was like a little kid. That's how I met one of my best friends. Her name is Cassie. She probably won't listen to this podcast anyways. But if you do, if you're listening to this, hi. Anywho, she was my first roommate at ISD. Well, technically, we weren't at ISD. It was an ISD camp that was hosting a camp in Benton at the Iowa Braille Sight Saving School, which I don't know if it doesn't no longer exist, but I think they now like take blind students onto ISD and just kind of like do like a collaboration. I unfortunately wasn't really a part of that a whole lot, but I met my best friend, my longtime best friend from ISD at the camp. We absolutely hated each other, but we actually understood each other pretty well because we went through a lot of the same challenges. I hated her guts from the first time that I met her. I was just in my own little world. Like I didn't really care about anything at that time. And then I went to a movie, like a movie camp that ISD was hosting. I was very homesick. I don't ever remember if I actually tried talking to Cassie during that time. I do know that I gave her the silent treatment for 2 years, which wasn't very good of me. And so, but yeah, we've kind of tried to like make our relationship stronger than ever before, but yeah. And so for me being mainstreamed, I was still like somewhat pretty educated, but I always had like associates helping me out to be able to be successful in the school. And at ISD, I'm not sure much about it, but I've heard from internment teachers, and I know a few friends that have went to ISD. They said that like it's not academically challenging as mainstream schools are, because again, like I'm not sure if it's because people aren't qualified. I mean, I shouldn't call anybody out, so my bad on that. But what I'm trying to say is that maybe being in a mainstream school is more challenging academically, and trying to put yourself out there in the world, like know a little bit more of what's going on. However, I think if you do like take like an ASL class or something like within like the deaf culture, you'll like learn a lot about ASL in the deaf community, and just like understanding about like how everything has like in the 1800s ASL was not allowed in the schools at all, because I think there was a few people that basically said like they didn't want ASL, they wanted the deaf students learn how to speak and communicate in English and not use ASL. Do you know how hard that would have been? I mean, if you put yourself in a deaf person's shoes or something like that, you have like, first, you can't hear any sound. And how will you be able to communicate with other people that are like trying to like talk to you? You can't use your hands. You can't sign at all. How will you be able to communicate? And if you speak, which octaves would you know what to hit? Would you know how loud or soft a pitch is, or how loud or soft a voice is? And those are like those things that can be like very difficult for a deaf person to know. For me, it's always been very difficult for me to know if I'm either loud spoken or soft spoken. When I was young, I was very loud spoken. Then now I'm like very like soft spoken. Like nobody can really like hear my voice or like understand my voice, because I don't think I enunciate my words as much as I should have. And that's also the part about like going to speech therapy too. Anywho, I'm getting way off topic. And so my internet teachers, they essentially told me that like it was probably a good thing that I stayed in the mainstream schools because like my grades were like decently okay. Like they weren't superior, but they were like pretty good. Like I get like mostly like A's and B's. Like I was on the honor roll like pretty much almost all my 4 years at high school. But if I went to a deaf school, I probably wouldn't be as challenged. Like I would just be like getting like all A's, like I'd be knowing, like I'd be able to understand what's going on. But at the same time, I remember when going to like a camp there, it was somewhat difficult for me to be able to understand what the deaf person was signing. And then I remember in a classroom, I was in a classroom where there was a deaf teacher, and then I don't remember if it was a hearing person or what, but they often would like speak for the deaf teacher, because sometimes some people may not always be like up to speed on the signing skills as they would like. And so if you like sign, if you just completely sign, sometimes people might not know what you're talking about, versus if you're actually like saying, like interpreting the conversation, then like for me, like I found that to be kind of helpful, because like I could like understand, and then but at the same time I could also pick up on new signs and be like, oh, that's what they were signing. Like there's various interpretations of like different signs, and I'm like, I just like found that like fascinating, because a lot of things can be like very different from each other. And so even though the evolution of deaf education has evolved through many years, we deaf schools are still being challenged in society, as they're not receiving as much funding as they should be. And a lot of the students that are deaf, and the parents sometimes may not allow them to go to a deaf school. However, at the same time, it's kind of like the connection between the parent and the student. And that's kind of something that I want to do for my students as well. And to be able to kind of like help bridge the gap between that, and just be like, help to find other ways for teachers to be able, for the parent to be able to communicate with their child in whatever way they're able to. And so like if you notice families with disabilities, a lot of families are like very understanding and want to be able to help their families be able to be successful. And so for me, like my family was like, they were somewhat pretty accepting, but like I just always continued to like surprise a lot of people in my life. Because I remember going to like some deaf social events when I was young. My father took me to one deaf social event numerous years ago, and a lot of parents that have deaf kids, sometimes they might not know how to support the kids who have hearing loss. And like I've been through the journey a lot, and so it's just kind of like my way of kind of like giving back. But like my parents didn't even really know that I had hearing loss until I was 3 years old, because like I caught it so well. Like I was very aware of my surroundings. Like I just picked up very well in social cues, but just like listening, like I didn't catch much of that. And so they just always said that I've just always been like very smart, and just like always figured out what to do, because I was just a very smart kid. And so I hope that kind of got like a better understanding or a fresher perspective on the situation between a mainstream versus a deaf school and how mine was. And so I just kind of want to thank you guys for tuning in this episode. If you want to, you can more than certainly leave a comment at one of my socials, and I will try to figure out what others' content to add. Thank you, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, I guess. And remember, we can be the voice for our students. Thank you for tuning in to my podcast, Deaf and Hearing Loss Advocacy and Empowerment for Teachers. If you could please take like a moment of your day to leave me either like a like or any kind of comment on how I can better improve my podcast, please feel free to do so. You can also share my socials, it's linked down below. Thank you and have a wonderful day. And remember, be the voice.